welcome to the programme. I'm Sohail Rahman in Islamabad, and our guest on this edition of Talk to Al Jazeera is the Honourable Shaukat Aziz, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Prime Minister, thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera. Can I begin by asking for your reaction to the suicide bomb attacks in Karachi?
Well, the suicide bomb attacks in Karachi the other day are a despicable event. Many innocent lives were lost and many people are injured. The damage done is colossal. We have condemned these incidents and we have started investigations, and we are going to get to the bottom of this, and the culprits will be brought to book.
It does raise a much bigger question now about the movement of politicians and how free they can move within Pakistan and be able to get their message across. Are you re-evaluating how politicians now move across the country?
I had all our security chiefs from all over the country with me yesterday, and we have spent a lot of time brainstorming on what measures can be taken. In essence, the government encourages movement of people and interaction with people by everybody, including politicians, because that's how you can get your message across to the masses. Because of security considerations, we are coming up with a code of conduct and SOPs so that the law enforcing agencies can also play their part. That does not mean that political activity cannot take place. On the contrary, we want to encourage that. But it should be done with a proper security plan so that the lives of the people who are there and the leaders who go through this process are protected.
Are you saying that then Ms Bhutto will have to reassess her plans in accordance with this code of conduct that you will come up with?
Well, we are preparing a draft code of conduct. We will consult every party so that we get their input, and we will consult the Chief Election Commissioner. It is in everybody's interest to maintain security. It is in everybody's interest to conduct political activity peacefully. We can have a lot of political events, especially political meetings, where thousands of people can come, but it has to be done in a way where people can be checked and security does not create incidents like what happened in Karachi.
Do you think your government did enough to protect Benazir Bhutto?
I think we do enough to protect all our citizens, and in her case also, yes, there was a comprehensive security plan, there were thousands of police deployed, but you know, when you are going on a street openly with a lot of people coming in and out of the procession, it becomes that much more challenging.
How concerned are you, though, that Benazir Bhutto puts some of the blame on some of the ministers within Sindh and Punjab and the IB chief, and yet on the other hand says she doesn't blame the government? She seems to be sending out mixed messages. Are you to blame or aren't you to blame?
Naturally, the responsibility for security lies with the government, and in Pakistan, the security is handled by the provincial governments. The federal government also assists where necessary, but the primary responsibility for policing lies with the provincial government. However, I think it is premature to talk about who is responsible and who is not. We believe in proper process, and the proper process is that we'll go through an investigation and we'll get to the culprits. May I say that previous incidents in Karachi, 100% of them have been resolved and the culprits brought to book.
Can you sympathise with what happened to Benazir Bhutto as a Prime Minister? Because you yourself have been a target of an assassination attempt. So what was your initial reaction?
I was shocked, and I absolutely sympathise with Ms Bhutto and her colleagues, because it's a very traumatic experience. As you know, 140 people, innocent people, lost their lives. 500 plus are injured. Many more may be missing, etc. So the point is, whenever a tragedy like this happens, naturally we are concerned, and we care about every party. Pakistan has many political parties and many important personalities. So Ms Bhutto's security is a concern of the government, and we have put, in fact, 48 hours before this, when she arrived, we assigned at her request a full-time senior police officer just to work with her to coordinate her security requirements. And that was done at her request, and the police officer is of her choice. So we have somebody there who's advising her on how to go about, where to go, what are the security precautions necessary, because naturally, with the security concerns we all have, we have to keep in mind the intelligence reports we get, which we share with the persons concerned, and also cooperate with the local police officials so that their task can be made manageable.
Do you think she's partly to blame? in any way for
I think
what
this
happened?
is not a question of blame game.
But it is if you're warned before you come to a country that your life is in danger and then you don't heed that advice.
It is the duty of the government to advise all people where the government has credible intelligence that security risks do exist. And keeping that in mind, I think the organizers of the rally had made a bulletproof truck which in fact saved all of them. All stakeholders should cooperate with each other, and there should be a sense of trust. If the government and the intelligence personnel tell anybody, doesn't have to be just Ms. Bhutto, anybody, including ourselves, then we have to rely on our security people.
How would you describe your relationship with the President, General Pervez Musharraf?
The common thread between the two of us is that we have no personal agenda. We have one agenda, which is Pakistan. We want Pakistan to grow, to develop, to prosper. We believe in transparency and good governance, and we believe in improving the lot of our people.
Well, you're obviously a very big fan of the President. Is he a big fan of yours?
I think you can ask him, to be fair. But we work very closely together. We have a close partnership, and that has helped Pakistan progress.
It certainly helped in the recent presidential election then, despite the fact there was no opposition in the Parliament. Do you think that his victory is legitimate?
Absolutely.
Why?
May I just share with you why I think so? The Parliament, the Electoral College for the President's election, is the 4 provincial assemblies, the National Assembly, and the Senate. In all these areas, if you put all the votes together, the President secured 57% plus.
We know what he secured, sir, but the reason that the opposition were not present was because that he was both holding the army uniform and the presidency.
I'll get to that.
There is a reason for this.
You must appreciate and agree, I hope, that the laws of the land and the constitution and the statutes of any country must be followed. If you're in a civilized society, whatever the laws are, they are binding on everybody. You cannot have laws of convenience, that if it suits you, you say yes. If it doesn't suit you, no.
So now, the Pakistani public would say that those laws have been changed and the constitution's been changed to suit the president.
Let's assume if all the opposition came and voted against the president, the result would still be the same. That is very significant, because 43% would have voted against him had they all been present, assuming 100% were there. 57% were ours. So the end result wouldn't change, first thing. Second thing, his dual office, the uniform and the presidency. Yes, you are absolutely right that many opposition parties had concern. But let's look at it from a legal and constitutional setup. The constitution and the laws which amended by act of parliament, the laws allowed President Musharraf, the statutes allowed him to keep this, and there is a time limitation there, that till he completes his term, he can do so. Once he completes his term, then after that, since now he has got the votes to be elected, he cannot keep his dual office. And he will follow that.
So what happens if the Supreme Court upholds the petitions saying that the President was not an eligible candidate and that the election was null and void? What happens then?
All I can share with you is what our lawyers who are representing us and representing the President in this case are telling us. They feel we have a strong case, and let's wait for the courts to decide.
In terms of the National Reconciliation Ordinance, it went ahead. There was an informal vote in Cabinet. I was told that some Cabinet members were not very happy about the ordinance itself, and some voted against it. Do you regret that ordinance in any form?
We had a very good discussion. Some Cabinet members, as you rightly said, had a different view. At the end of the day, we decided to go ahead with this ordinance for national political reconciliation to really impact the quality and the atmosphere which surrounds the politics of Pakistan. We want people and the political parties to get together on issues of national interest. We want the politics of vindictiveness and revenge to finish. We want positive politics, nation-building politics, and reconciliation to drive the Pakistan in the next
Can
decade.
that really happen, though, when you deport a former Prime Minister who has a legal right to come to the country?
You're talking about Mr. Nawaz Sharif. That is a legal issue, again in court today, so I won't comment on the court decision, but I will tell you that when he left here, he was sentenced. He did a legal arrangement with the government of Pakistan, which said that for 10 years he'll stay out and he was sentenced for life imprisonment. That was then pardoned as part of a quid pro quo for him to leave the prison. So there was a whole deal which covered that movement. And of course, the issue related to his entry and exit, that is in the Supreme Court. So let's let the court then decide what is the correct position.